Well, hey everyone. I started to make this video yesterday because I discovered something that needed to be fixed. And fixing this was something that I was really going to like because it enjoys wood, a table saw, and some other tools. So I had a goal. I was motivated. I had something to do, but then something went wrong. It started going downhill from there. Then a couple hours later, it started, the motivation started going back uphill. And then it just went off the cliff. Here, let me show you how yesterday started out. Well, since my mailbox is like 400 feet away from the house, I usually drive the side-by-side of the golf cart down here. Okay, we got to check for traffic. I don't see anything over there. Nothing over there. Get turned around here. So yesterday I come down here to check my mail. I open it up and then I'm like going, wow, that mailbox sure is wobbly. And I kind of wobbled it a little bit. And that stick down there, or piece of board, fell out. So I looked up under here and I was like, oh man, that's rotting out. I don't know, sun's shining too bright, might not be able to see that. See, that board goes all along there and it just screws in. I need to replace that board right there. So I came back up here, got a notebook, tape measure, and a pencil. I went back down there, got the measurements right there. Do you like the way my drawing is in scale? So then I looked around and I found this piece of wood right here. This here is longer than what I need and narrower than what I need. Now here's where my problem started. You see, I only need to make 2 cross cuts on this board. There's no sense in pulling out the miter saw to cut this board to length when I got my table saw here. The first cross cut on the table saw for this board's easy. You just need to square up this end. So all I would do is just run it through that way. No problem. But then to cut it to the length right here that I need, 17.5 inches, yeah. So I'll bring this down, put it at 17.5 inches, bring this over here, slide this down here. This is not a safe cut because you get this board in here and it gets warped or twisted in there somewhere. You know what's going to happen if it does that? That board's going to fly out of there. It might not go that way, it'd come back and hit you. So that's really not a safe cut. So the way you cut those wide boards on the table saw is you take this little board here, it's like a spacer board, and it goes there, then you put this up here. Then when you run this down and it gets to the blade, there's a space right here. So it's not going to get bound up in there. And this is what I've been doing for quite a while. But a problem is see, when I move this board, this goes with it. And if I don't catch that, then this board and this board is going to be between the blade and the fence, and it's going to throw off. But there's a way to improve on this jig, and that's where my problem started yesterday. A block like this comes in handy when you're going to be doing a lot of the same cuts, where you want to bring it over, cut it, bring it over, bring your board over, you're cutting sizes. But there's always that chance that this board's going to slide with your work. But you can use one of these clamps right here and put a hole in the top of this right here, and it goes in there, and you can anchor this to your fence. So my problem started yesterday when I had measured this here, and I was going to cut this to width. I think it was 2 5/8 inches. So let me come down here, mark it at 2 5/8. I get my board in there, I get my push block, I'm ready to go, and I go to turn on the power saw, bah, turned it back off. Spun the blade a little bit thinking, okay. Well, it felt kind of rough, like it was indents. And I thought, man, something's holding up on that. So I looked around, you know, I got in here, took this out, looked down in there, didn't see nothing. You know, so I spun it a little bit more, got over here, set up again, turned on the power switch. Bah. Oh gosh. So I go online and do a search. I searched date, you know, my table saw and motor not starting but humming. Everybody said it's capacitors. This little one, the start capacitor who, you know, gets the motor going. Then the run capacitor, the one that keeps the motor running. I was like, oh, I could probably find this one local at an HVAC shop, but not this one. So I look them up on Amazon, I find them, I add them to my cart, I'm about ready to click submit order, and I'm like, maybe I can find these locally somewhere else. So I did a search. A lot of people had this one, but no one had this one. Weird numbers on there. Voltages and everything, and microfarads and all that good stuff. Well, I searched a little more. Granger has both of them. So I order them, and I drive 25-mile round trip to pick up 2 of these. Well, on the way back, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to get home, get these capacitors in, get that table saw going. I get back, I hook up the new capacitors, turn the saw on, not fixed. My motivation just fell off the freaking cliff then. So I shut everything down in here. Lights and everything, compressor, fans, locked the door, went inside. I thought, great, this motor is gone bad. Now I'm gonna have to buy a new motor, and you know, the motor's probably almost as much as the table saw, at least these days. But I got back online and searched again. It seems like the motor that's on this Delta table saw has like a clutch brake system on it. So I was watching this guy, he sells a kit to fix it. So he was showing how he installed the kit. And so I was just watching that thinking, you know, I want to make sure I can do that. And so I see what is supposed to be wrong. So I come back out here, turn the lights on, open up all the doors, turn the fans on, get down under there, take off this housing that's on the motor. Well, hey, it looked just like his. You know, usually when you do that, it doesn't look like what's online, but it looked exactly like his. So I took this little plastic clutch thing off there, and here's this braking system, which is like a rubber washer, cork washer thing. It's stuck to the clutch, but it's there, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, this don't look tore up or, you know, used up. They say they burn up sometimes. You can smell them and they stink. Mine didn't stink. Well, I got looking at the plastic clutch thing on there. It's got these little levers and springs in there, and I'm like, this ain't right. So I got my fine pair of needle nose, went in there and took the springs off, got this thing where the levers go on, got it in there, put it on there, got the springs around. I finally got it the way it was supposed to be. So I put this clutch assembly back on the motor. I felt it and it was like, wow, the motor spins. I come back up here, turn the blade. Hey, that is smooth. So that clutch somewhere in there had come all wonky, and it was just keeping the brake to the motor on. So I got all that on there, I put the cover on, 2 screws hold it on. One's easy, the other one is like, it's a blind shot to get it in there. But I got it in there. I get my saw, I had my saw on the side so I could do all this, and so I bring it back down. I'm like, okay. So I go to plug it in, and I realized I never unplugged it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I always unplug the tools. So I go over there and I plug it in, I get everything off the top of the table saw, and I do this. And it works! Now watch. See how fast that blade stops? That's the braking system. My old table saw I had, that blade would probably spin for, I don't know, 45 seconds before it stopped. But it works. I'm going to get this jig made, and then I'm going to start this video. Here we go. Well, it's burning up out here. I'm going to call this video quits. Well, actually, I'm probably going to call it something else if you just read the title. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Leave me a comment. I'll comment back. Hey, click that subscribe button, click that like button, and ring that bell. And this here's for my good buddy, Jim Scanlon.